Hey, what's up guys? It's CL here, and this video is going to be all about frame control. Now, if you're somebody who is already somewhat familiar with the concept of frame control, then do consider skipping ahead to this timestamp. It's going to be right here, where we're going to be breaking down an example, a real life text conversation of me flipping frames, and you can really see the subtleties that I'm about to explain in the first couple minutes of this video. Whereas if you're somebody who is more of a beginner at things, maybe you have no idea what frame control is, then yeah, just keep watching because we're going to be explaining why you need it, how you want to use it, when you want to use it, all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so frame control. To understand frame control, you first have to understand what a frame is. And a frame is basically just your subjective interpretation of reality. You might be thinking, wait, reality? Isn't reality objective? Isn't there only one reality? No, because it's all about perspective. When you walk outside of your house, you have a frame. Maybe you view yourself as the cool guy, or maybe you view yourself as the social outcast, the loser. Right? When you walk into a club, you have a frame. When you walk into a social interaction, you're holding a frame. As in, the way you would talk to your boss would be very much different to the way you would talk to, let's say, your daughter. Because when you talk to your boss, your frame, your interpretation of reality is that you are inferior, that he is higher status than you. Whereas when you talk to your daughter, you need to be parenting her, you need to be superior to her, that kind of stuff. And the reason you want to understand this is because anytime there is a social interaction, meaning anytime there's two people, right, each with their own individual frame of reality, each time two people come together, two frames collide. And what happens is there's essentially what you'd call a frame battle, and usually the more dominant frame wins. And I'll give you an example to illustrate. Let's say you walk into a club, right? Or you walk into a bar and you talk to a girl. Now, there's an attractive girl, and 99% of attractive girls out there, they have naturally ingrained, this is like something that society and nature has instilled in them, but they usually hold the frame that they are the prize. Meaning that, guys have to win them over, right? They're on a pedestal. They view guys as the ones who need to put in work in order to get them, right? And girls are very good at that, and their behaviors, their words, their emotions, their attitude are going to be aligned with that frame. For the guy's perspective, you're going to get guys holding many different types of frames, right? Maybe you're the guy who thinks just to be able to get a girl, you're lucky. Or if you're a little bit more advanced in this and you actually get some girls in your life, maybe you are non-needy, and maybe you come from the frame that a girl would be lucky to be with you if you choose her, right? So you come in from the frame that you are the buyer, that you are the prize, as opposed to it being the other way around. So let's continue with the example. Let's say you're talking to a girl, right? And it's going well, 10, 15 minutes in, you go for a kiss, right? You feel like things are, getting there. You go for a kiss, and then suddenly she pulls back and says, no, 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 wait, slow down. I don't know why I'm doing this, but no, 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 slow down. I'm not that kind of girl, right? So let's look at this example. What are the implied meanings behind her words? I'm not that easy, meaning you're chasing her, meaning she is the prize, and meaning you're too intense, right? So with each sentence, in order to understand frame control, which is very crucial, you need to be looking at the implied meanings, the place where the sentence is coming from. So if we look at the sentence, I'm not that easy, it has all these implied meanings behind it that are negative to you. So you as a man, how do you deal with that? Well, a beginner, and the absolute worst thing that you want to do is to contribute to that frame. to verbally and explicitly accept that frame, in which case her frame will be the narrative of the conversation. So a beginner might say something like, oh wait, you know what, you're right, you're not that kind of girl. So if you react something to the effect of what I just did, then you're gonna have a very difficult interaction for the rest of the interaction, because the girl knows that you have fallen into her frame. And this is not something that she consciously knows, but she will unconsciously know that you put her on a pedestal. And that's really when things start to fall apart, because they will start to get the vibe that they can do whatever they want and they don't actually have to respect and put in work to maintain the relationship. So now you might be wondering, what would be some appropriate ways of dealing with this? So what do you do when other people impose bad frames on you? And keep in mind, it's not something that you only use in the dating world. There's an extremely powerful technique or mindset idea, whatever you want to call it, used in sales, used in influence. Anytime you want to influence someone, maybe you're negotiating with your boss, maybe you are dealing with some kind of bully in the club, or whatever the situation is, it is an extremely powerful tool. So yeah, let's get back on topic. What do you do when someone, let's say, imposes a bad frame on you? So number one thing is, you don't want to fall into their frame, okay? You don't want to fall into their frame. So basically, there's two ways to go about it, okay? Number one is you can ignore it. Just completely ignore it, right? You can change topic, stay silent, whatever it is, just ignore. And do not underestimate the power of silence or ignoring someone else's bad frame. Because what happens is, the person who is trying to do these things to you, right? Maybe they're doing it unconsciously, but what ends up happening is they will come to the conclusion that it doesn't have an effect on you. It's not affecting your frame of reality. And then consequently, your more dominant, more grounded frame will end up winning and dominating the narrative of the conversation. But in order to make the route of ignoring work, you need to really be grounded, okay? Meaning that you can't be emotionally affected by the other frame that the other person is imposing on you. You really need to know at your core, right, from an extremely emotionally composed place, you need to know that the only frame of reality that matters, that there is yours, right? Your frame is the shit, right? When other people test you, doesn't even make you buckle. It doesn't even make you question yourself. So that's number one. Route number two is that you want to reframe the situation. And this video is going to be all about the art of reframing, or you can call it flipping frames, right? So basically what happens is, one person gives you one frame, right? Maybe she says something that puts you in the chasing frame, and then through your response, you completely flip it to get out of the frame that she puts you in. Or maybe you even put her in a bad frame back. So I hope everything is sort of clear on the introduction of frame control and what frames are and why and how and when, all that stuff. But if you guys have more questions about frame control and the topic, do feel free to drop it in the comment section down below, and I will make another video on it, since this is most likely only going to be the first video of my frame control series. What we're going to do now is we're going to crack right into a real life text conversation example of me flipping frames. You're really going to be able to see the art of reframing, right? Changing the frame of the interaction in this example that I show you. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Do feel free to hit, like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend, do all that good stuff. And let's get into the example. And yo, we are back. So to set a little bit of context for this conversation, this girl liked one of my pictures out of nowhere on Instagram. This is a girl that I've never ever met before, and I slid in her DM with the first text. As you can see, I write, "Love you!" exclamation mark. Haha, thanks. Can I be honest with you? Sure. You seem like my type of girl, so I'm showing a little bit of interest here. Haha, I'm sorry, but I have someone. I gave you likes because I liked your pictures, and honestly, I saw you come on my friend's page and got curious. So she shows this interest, she frames the interaction as her rejecting me, even though I didn't necessarily propose anything yet. And this is something that girls are going to be really good at. How many times have you walked up to a girl in a club or a bar, just said hi, and just from the beginning, they reject you, even if you haven't necessarily proposed anything yet? This is her naturally taking on the prize frame and framing me to be chasing. So I try to reframe the conversation here by saying, I'm not proposing anything yet. Besides, I'll bet we're currently very far from each other right now. I'm sorry, but I don't want to give you any hope. You're not my type. I need to be blunt about it. I hope you'll find someone good for you. So she makes it clear that there is no physical attraction on her end. And this is a point that a lot of guys will give up. A lot of guys think that if there is no immediate physical attraction right from the start, then the interaction is not possible. But that's far from the truth, and I'm speaking completely from personal experience here. I've had so many experiences where from the beginning the girl was absolutely not interested in me whatsoever, maybe because of my looks, maybe because of my vibe in the first 5 seconds. But I turned the interaction around with my personality and game, and that's what learning games should be all about. So again, she imposes the frame that she's rejecting me. So rule number one, remain non-reactive and then reframe the situation. I'm guessing you're a little bit inexperienced to make an assumption like that, but honestly, nothing wrong with being inexperienced. So I completely reframed the situation from being about her lack of interest in me to it being about her being inexperienced, which is why she's making a quick judgment. And notice the way I wrote that message. I indirectly led her to that conclusion. This would have been a lot more effective than if I was to just come right out and directly say, you know that you can still be attracted to someone even if they're not your exact physical type, right? The latter would sound like I'm trying to convince her. I'm not, haha. So her frame breaks here. She falls into my frame. Besides, I know what your type of guy is. So I take control of the frame and change topic to start building on the interaction. How is? We won't talk about looks because you can still be attracted to someone even if they're not your exact type. You like a dominant guy, someone who is strong that you can't walk all over. You usually find yourself attracted to fuckboys. So with my first sentence, we won't talk about looks because you can still be attracted to someone even if they're not your exact type. Now is a more appropriate time to start setting a frame against choosing a partner solely based on looks. Now I don't sound like I'm convincing her. And then I cold read her on being submissive based on her IG pictures. And this was very much a calculated guess. And overall, this text is showing a lot of pre-selection DHV as well as a lot of dominance. And if you don't know what a DHV is, check out the last video that I just posted last week. I'll drop a link down in the description box below. You know what's the worst part in liking a dominant guy? Is that I'm dominant myself. She's in my frame now. Majority find themselves attracted to fuckboys. But yes, you're correct. So she's contributing to the frame by opening up saying she's dominant as well. It's going well. No, you're a brat. You want a true dominant guy to tame you. You've just grown strong and independent over the years because most guys nowadays are too submissive to inspire your submissive nature. But you enjoy sex and mostly getting dominated by someone who knows what he's doing, more than being dominant. So here I further my cold read of her archetype. Again, this is showing massive amounts of pre-selection and it's a massive DHV. This is going to give her the feeling of being understood. And if you're wondering how I'm able to know this, it's because everything that I'm saying here is universally true for girls of her archetype, as in girls who think they're dominant but deep down crave being submissive to the one true dominant guy who can tame them. In the BDSM world, they're called brats. So again, all of this implies that I am that guy that she's looking for. How did you? She's in awe because I'm not like any other guy she's met. But you think you're dominant because you very rarely meet someone who can handle and complement your sass and personality. So I continue the cold read. What do you do for a living? Are you a psychologist or something? So here is interest, curiosity, and chasing. Now at this point, the interaction could very well turn into something where me and the girl end up going on dates and end up dating. So this is a good example of how to flip an extremely bad situation where the girl is outright explicitly rejecting me to a situation now where something is possible. Now, even if this interaction ends up falling through, I hope you can still see the power of flipping frames. I was in an extremely bad situation when she rejected me, and now I am in a much better situation. Here I want to use another short example to illustrate. This is a text conversation back in Budapest about 2 years ago. So this was a day game interaction, meaning I met the girl in the daytime and we actually scheduled a date for that night. I'm texting her about an hour before the date to reconfirm to see if she will flake or not. And I was a little bit suspicious because she was responding slow. How's the adventure? You should see that part. I'll find a cute Hungarian girl for the trip. What time will you be ready? IDK. So this is not looking good. If you're too shy, I totally understand. So here there's a great line to use because instead of pushing and asking and chasing more for information that I want to get, this is a good way to push her to give me the information that I want and to move the interaction forward without me outright chasing for it. Shy for what? To have wine with me. And then she didn't respond for a while. Gonna flake. Oh, I was fall asleep, so I'm not very important to you. Nice to know. So she very much gives a minimal investment answer here. So how do I go about this if I want to make the date happen tonight because she was leaving the next day, so this was the only night possible? So I'm not very important to you. Nice to know. So I'm framing her as being insensitive and this pushes her to make a decision. No, not like that. I was very tired. She starts explaining. How do you think I feel that you can forget our date and just fall asleep on me? You're not even trying to schedule or make it now. So instead of outright, again, desperately chasing for it, I'm indirectly pushing her to move the interaction forward. This makes me come across much less needy. I'm so sorry. I can come, but my hostel is far from city center. She starts investing and pushing for the interaction. And then I said my address. I write address, it's not far. What? It's not my place. Where are you staying? She writes her address. I'll call you a taxi when you're ready. No, it's okay, but it'll be like 10:30. Is it okay? That's actually perfect. Let me know, blah, 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 blah. And then we had an amazing night together. So I hope in these two short conversations, you can see the power of flipping frames, avoiding bad frames that girls sometimes impose on you, getting out of them, reframing it, and then stirring the interaction to where you want to go. Oh, hi. Well, thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you made it to the end of the video, definitely join my private free Facebook group where there's a lot more exclusive, crazy, premium content that you're not gonna be able to find anywhere else on the internet. So do click on the link to join my Facebook group down in the description box below. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, click on the video right here or here, subscribe button, notification bell, and yeah, share it with a friend. And I will see you in the next video, which is gonna come out in less than a couple days. Yes, fuck yeah.